This very well might be the first time in a long time that we are doing a live broadcast, a live feed on our Lionel Legal channel. And the response as of late has been absolutely tremendous by virtue of what we have talked about as to Diddy. I am telling you that my response, my analysis, my take of the Diddy case is without a doubt the best there is. And the reason why is very simple. I have no dog in this fight, as it were. I have no, this is the most annoying, hang on one second. There we go. Turn my headphones off. I am broadcasting to you live as we speak from the studios of WABC radio here in New York, Midtown, roughly. And I am here talking about this thing of ours and my take on the Diddy case, which I think, as I say very frankly, is the best there is. Oh, hang on a minute. And I welcome, look at this, Will T, thank you, welcome. And the reason why my comment is the best, I will explain to you, is simply this. I do not start off with a preconceived, pre-anecdotal review of what's going on. Everybody else starts off with this idea that they either love Diddy, don't like Diddy, they hate him, whatever it is, or they're upset that more wasn't done, or whatever the particular thing is. Talk radio had the greatest opportunity to teach you what was going on. And of course, talk radio let you down yet again, because people start off with these preconceived positions, just like when it comes to Israel or the Middle East or Afghanistan, Ukraine. It's always the same. It comes down to, is this the Fox News or the whatever the other version of Fox News is? And while there's nothing wrong with Fox News per se, I'm telling you, you're missing a lot if that's your perspective. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be going on very, very soon on the WABC station on 77 WABC. And you can hear this, you can follow this either by going to the app or going to WABCradio.com and seeing for yourself what is happening there. But I wanted to start off again by taking you through this and say that my goal is not to propound or to expatiate my disappointment with the verdict. I don't even know what that means. I'm not disappointed one way or the other. The case was absolutely misfiled, mischarged. It was an absolute joke. An absolute joke. Witty loves the comment. Ricky says, my other favorite YouTube channel. Thank you, Ricky. Let's go everywhere. Says simply, free puff. Cassie wrote her letter to the judge not to let him out. Cassie might be looking at $30 million total that she has received as this. Cassie, who, by the way, was seen in this she is, what do I say? I like someone refers to Cassie as a 304 or a 304. Does everybody know what a 304 is? Everybody? Anybody catch what a 304 is? That, I believe, is the spelling of HOE when looked at it in terms of like numbers on a calculator. I would think HO would be HO, but that's me. Now, The thing to note is simply this. This was a complete and total disaster from the viewpoint of the prosecution. John Feeney says, Lionel, love the channel. I'm a member of your Lionel Nation channel. How was the media reaction to Diddy versus OJ? Well, believe it or not, I thought the OJ case was much better, John. And by the way, thank you for that, because there wasn't social media. Social media destroys everything. Social media destroys everything. And basically takes it and exploits the realities of this. This was such a disaster for the prosecution and Comey's daughter. I don't know what role she plays. I was listening to Alex, and Alex has a lot of thoughts and comments regarding, again, the Mossad and CIA. And we, we can guess all we want, but for us to suggest all of a sudden that that Mossad is involved, it could be. I don't jump to that default. That's not my thing. I don't just jump and say, well, this. What I find the most fascinating, in no particular order, is that racketeering. Now, when I tell you something, listen to what I'm saying. If you can't get somebody on racketeering, you got nothing. Not even one predicate act, not one predicate act, goes to show you the enormity of what this thing is. Not one predicate act. Racketeering is so bizarre, but racketeering means as follows. Racketeering is a criminal enterprise. And the reason why racketeering came about, let me explain this to you. In the old days when you were going after the mob, let's say you were going after Carlo Gambino or John Gotti or whoever. In the old days, they used to have conspiracy. This person and this person that was the spoke of the wheel, and it didn't really work. In fact, a lot of times what they did was they had folks who were not even involved in anything even remotely tangential, and consequently they were dismissed in terms of because nobody could get near them. Carlo Gambino never talked to anybody. Carlo Gambino, they would stop people at the lower levels, but nobody could get high enough. So in the 70s, Robert Blakey came about. And Robert Blakey came up with this wonderful idea, this thing called racketeering. And racketeering was the idea that if I could show a couple of predicate acts, first, let's say I'm going after the Gambino or the Lucchese or the Colombo crime family. I've got to prove the existence of a criminal enterprise. And one of the elements to show as well that there's racketeering is 2 predicate acts. At least 2. The more predicate acts, the better. If, for example, I say there is this thing called the Colombo crime family, and the Colombo crime family is a number with members and people in it. By the way, who is a member of the Diddy crime family? Who is a member of the Diddy crime family? What are the rudiments, the basics of racketeering that the government wanted to prove or should have proved in the case of Diddy? So my first question is, who's involved in this? With the Colombo crime family, you can say, well, here's you always saw those pictures, those subjects, the boss, the capo regime, the consiglieri, who is this now? It's Diddy. Now, the thing is that the government had to prove 4 cases. First of all, the existence of some kind of enterprise. The feds needed to argue that Bad Boy Entertainment or some combination of his staff or the bodyguards or enablers or somebody formed some form of enterprise. Not just a business, but a vehicle for ongoing criminal activity. So where is that? That's number 1. Number 2, they had to show that Diddy directly or voluntarily or indirectly, for that matter, participated in this endeavor. That means not just being the boss of the label, but he was orchestrating, facilitating, or protecting the activities, that it acted as a whole. You have to show a pattern of racketeering. This is 2 or more predicate acts within 10 years that are related and show continuity. Okay? related and continuity. You had to show something that they weren't episodic, they weren't chaotic, they were part of a plan. You could show, for example, past violations might be, Mann Act, sex distribution, drug distribution, violent crimes, witness tampering, money laundering, something that was done to pursue and to assist not Diddy, but the enterprise. Classic example, if you're in the Columbos or whatever, theoretically, as we are told, you are sworn in, you are made, straightened out, you get your badge, you swear fealty and allegiance to this, you take an oath, and your duty is to the family, is to the organization. When the boss is arrested, put in prison, shelved, what have you, the family still continues. The family continues even though the boss may not be there. The crimes that you've proved, the crimes that you are showing in this, have to further the enterprise. The predicate crimes must be committed in connection with or benefit of the enterprise. These were parties that he threw. He had something with Cassie or with this one or that. It wasn't a part of Bad Boy or the criminal enterprise. And the thing is, RICO is designed to target mob-like behavior, not just criminal acts. And it lets the prosecutors charge the whole organization, seize assets, connect decades, but also you're saying that Diddy, like, let's say, Carmine Persico or John Gotti, were a part, not only, they didn't just run this, but they were a part of the enterprise. It's very high risk. You need strong evidence. In Diddy's case, they had to prove a clear enterprise structure, which they didn't have. They had to prove multiple predicate acts, which the jury said not one. Proof that the acts further the enterprise, and witnesses who were part or aware of the inner workings were willing to testify. So if you want to prove, for example, let's say, again, the Lucchese's, the Gambinos, the Columbos, the Genovese, whatever that theoretically it is, you would show that he was the boss, he was a soldier, this is where the money went, you kicked up the money to the boss. You could show almost a structure. With Diddy was nothing. Why they chose to even pursue this, I have no earthly idea. None. And what's also interesting to know is ask yourself this question, which is critical. How much money did Cassie Ventura receive both from Diddy in terms of lawsuits and from a settlement with the hotel? This is critical stuff. Because this woman, in the second part of this, namely involving sex trafficking, she made out like a bandit. She got $20 million. She sued Puffy in November of 2023. And the next day, she settled for $20 million. The next day. In a separate payout, settled over a 2016, whatever. She was, I believe she sued the hotel basically on releasing the information. Anyway, she looked at $10 million. So she's looking at $30 million that she received, that she allegedly was the victim of. She was a victim of, listen to this, of sex trafficking. She made out like a bandit, said repeatedly, I love the freak-offs, I love this lifestyle, I love all this. None of it was there. The only thing they had, and listen to me when I tell you this, this is the most important. The only thing they had was violation of the Mann Act. This is a centuries-old case. The Mann Act, if you look at the history of the Mann Act, it's almost, it's so archaic. It was called the White Slave Traffic Act of 1910, named after Representative James Mann from 1910. So it's 115 years old. And it made it a crime to knowingly transport any woman or girl in interstate or foreign commerce for the purposes of prostitution, debauchery, or any immoral purposes. In the early 1900s, America was gripped by fears of white slavery, the idea that innocent white women were being kidnapped into prostitution rings. It just freaked people out. The act was reactionary and meant to combat what was perceived as an international trafficking epidemic, though much of it was exaggerated or racially charged. It became a tool of moral enforcement, particularly against interracial. And Charlie Chaplin was targeted, Chuck Berry, R. Kelly. It basically, the term any immoral purpose allowed prosecutors to apply it far beyond just prostitution. In 1978 and 1986, they amended it to remove sexist or, quote, moralistic language and focuses on prostitution and exploitation, including male victims and other people as well. So, for example, today, the Mann Act, I'm looking at my notes here, is used in human trafficking cases, pimping, sex tourism cases. And the key elements is that you're crossing state lines, there's commercial sex or coercion, minors are involved or lack of consent. It has been used in cases involving Epstein, R. Kelly, Ghislaine Maxwell, Diddy. And it matters because one of the most powerful federal tools for addressing trafficking is the idea that you are involving yourself in the commercial exploitation of human beings. That's really what this is about. So it's a very, very powerful, it's a powerful, powerful, powerful act, and requires, I think it's worth noting. But what's very interesting about this, which is very interesting to note, is that they kind of throw it out there. But this is what I want you to understand. By virtue of this, it involved Cassie Ventura and an unknown Jane Doe. By virtue of this right now, it basically established, and I find this fascinating, it established that Cassie was a prostitute. How does she feel about that? Understand that? Some of your questions are good. I can't believe that the judge isn't releasing him. I can't either. That's a great point. I think it's punitive. I think it's ridiculous. The bail statute is not punishment. Let me say this again. The bail statute is not intended to punish people, though it is oftentimes. The bail statute is to do two things. Number one, ensure his appearance. This is under the Eighth Amendment. And number two, to provide safety for putative victims, for other people. If you've got somebody who has threatened, I'm going to kill people, I'm going to hurt people if I get out, you obviously want to protect people and to ensure appearance. So I'm with you. I think it's extremely punitive. It's problematic that the government is so hard on Diddy for his sexual preferences, but the government approves the LGBTQ gays and the headquarters is in New York City. Well, I don't know about being in New York, but you're right about that. It is a very selective thing. Let me ask you this. There are approximately 3,000 professional athletes right now. If you look at the Major League Baseball, NBA, NFL. At any time when those teams travel, there's the players, the coaches, the staff, just the travel itself. They go to a hotel, they book a block of suites or whatever it is. The people there, the bellmen, the staff, limo drivers, they know about this. Groupies try their best to go after players. They pay money, just like they did in the case of Diddy. Nobody ever goes after them. Nobody sees whether, in fact, these organizations, whether one could argue that portions of, who knows, that maybe the NFL or the Major League Baseball, who knows, but they're acting almost like a quasi-racketeering enterprise regarding prostitution. You think I'm kidding? If the case could be made, if you could show evidence that everybody knows that people make money, that there's an organization. I'm not suggesting this, but I'm saying if you could make the case. In our culture, my friends, there are people, this may be a bit of a problem, but there are people either in the entertainment business who love this stuff, who look for this, women who seek these folks out. Both Cassie and Jane Doe should be charged with perjury. I don't know if there's any evidence of perjury. I was listening to somebody yesterday. We were talking, and I heard somebody who was a very, very knowledgeable member of the media say, every time I saw Cassie's picture, that has nothing to do with this case. Nothing. Nothing. He beat her up, and it was terrible, but what does this have to do with the case? Quicksilver says he didn't outsmart anyone. He's still going to jail. The uncooperative juror should have been replaced. Letter from Deontay Nash's attorney to judge was spot on. You should read it, Lionel. Learn something. Well, first of all, you're not going to replace a juror in the middle of it and have a mistrial, because once the jury goes, the alternates are removed, and that's it. That's number one. Number two, he did outsmart because he was looking at life in prison, and may very well, by virtue of the Mann Act violations, based upon the sentencing guidelines, it could be as little as 15 months, 2 years, plus credit for time served. So credit for time served would knock about 10 months off. So if you don't think that Diddy outsmarted these folks, if you don't think that taking a racketeering case, sex trafficking, and basically ending up with this, if that's not outsmarting, I don't know what is. Lionel is a trial attorney. He doesn't need to learn something. He knows exactly what he's talking about. Well, thank you for that. But I appreciate people saying this. Probation time served, he'd be out soon. I agree with you. I think he should be out. I don't think he poses any threat whatsoever. The judge went into the jury room while deliberating. Is that a mistrial? No. Rule 31, no. The judge can do some things to perhaps, that is not a mistrial per se. The judge also would have to rule on himself violating some kind of rule and would have to declare a mistrial against himself. No, the judge pretty much was, no. The bottom line is simply this. I want you to listen to the case, the facts of the case, and I want you to forget who exactly is involved. Is it Diddy? Is it Joe Blow? You and I know that none of us would ever be charged with this because we're not favorite. We're not famous. Cassie wrote a letter to not let him out, her and the ex-stylist. Okay, well, that's fine. She has the right to say that. But remember, this is let him out pending appeal. The appeal could take years. Years. The judge could also, I don't think he's going to do it, issue a kind of a post-verdict, granting a motion for a judgment of acquittal after the fact, kind of like setting aside the verdict. But why of all the people, Antifa, Black Lives Matter, the people involved in some very, very serious, how about human smuggling, fentanyl, Fauci, Mayorkas? You mean to tell me Diddy? Let me ask you this question, flat out, yes or no. Do you believe the prime motivator behind this is race? Do you believe that they wanted to show this uppity, I'm not saying this, but some people are saying that if this happens with white people all the time, this happens with white jurors, or white defendants, that Led Zeppelin, maybe, musical bands, teams, others as well, I'm not going to mention, but do you think this has something to do with race being a part of this? Race, money, and gender. Race and fame. Why have 6 AUSAs? Well, you can have as many on a trial team as you want. I believe it has a lot to do. And also remember what Diddy can show. Diddy can show that I am stand up. You see what 50 Cent called him the gay John Gotti, meaning a Teflon Don. There's always been rumors of Diddy being gay, but I don't know if that makes any difference. But the point is that in this case, he can say, I never ratted anybody out. I beat racketeering. Nobody beats racketeering. Nobody. The federal government, the Department of Justice, is so scrupulous about charging you with racketeering that they have special committees to determine whether the facts of the case are applicable. He never gave anybody up. He didn't, snitches get stitches. He did something which nobody else could do. He absolutely, positively, 100%. He is as badass, and he's an adjudicated pimp. Snoop and other people, they claim to be a pimp. The federal government, a jury, basically adjudicated him as a pimp. And guess what, Cassie? You're a hoe. You were brought not under sex trafficking. You were transported as chattel, cattle. You were basically treated as a hoe. I notice how to say this. So in any event, I appreciate this, and I appreciate your thoughts and comments. I have no emotion about it one way or the other. I'm looking at it clinically. So much of what we do, I was listening before, everybody has their own, put it this way, they repeat the line. Let's say Fox News is not going to like Diddy. CNN, I'm looking at these from last night, they have 4 black women talking about Diddy. What do you think that's about? You think 4 black women is going to be the same as the 5 with Greg Gutfeld? Of course not. I'm not saying it's racist, but there are people who have kind of skin in the game, and I don't care one way or the other. I don't care if it's Gillette. I don't care who it is. I believe in the Constitution, and I believe that a person who was tried deserves the full faith and credit of the Constitution. He should not be in any way mistreated or kind of aggravated in terms of the elements or the charges based upon who he is. I believe in everybody looking almost like it's instrument rated, where you're a pilot and you're just looking at the ratings. You don't know who it is. And I would say there's no way. Where was this enterprise? Who else was it? Diddy and who else? So you're having a lot of folks right now. There's a kind of a, CNN has a kind of a blackness, negritude, which is fine. Listen, that sells. Race has a part of it. Do you think that when they charged, or when the government went after people based upon their being in the alleged mafia, that ethnicity has something to do with it? Of course it does. Of course it does. Of course, you'll never hear about Russian mobs, Chinese triads, Albanians, never. Always the Italians. Always in this case. This was great because this was Diddy. Oh, and talks about things like talking about oil, lubricant, Astrolube, all of this other kind of jazz. Tootsie Rolls. That also made it because it's about sex, it's about this decadent lifestyle, and it's about basically teaching. And by the way, what about if you really want to get down to it, let's look at Justin Bieber. Last point I want to say, all they had to do was charge Diddy with something as simple as filing or removing serial numbers from a gun. Something like that. That would have been perfect. That would have been, but kind of boring, but they would have nailed his ass so fast, and they could have pounded him. Remember, Diddy is not going to do 10 years or 20 years. He might do tops on the Mann Act, assuming there's no reversal, 3 years, no priors, no nothing. And not only that, 3 years basically in a kind of a minimum federal, something in Connecticut or whatever. Who knows? John Feeney says, can he get time served? Yes. I ask because he has been in the hole for almost a year. 10 months. Absolutely. Whatever his sentence, John, he will subtract whatever time he has spent up to today where he was not allowed out. So that's a good question. Anyway, my friends, go right now to 77 WABC. I'm going to bring everybody, I'm going to invite you over. Go to the app, 77 WABC. Go to WABCradio.com. It's 77 or 770. I'm going to continue this right now at about 1 a.m. I want to have you show up. I appreciate, by the way, John, thank you so much. And Cambry, thank you for your thoughts and your comments and your beauteousness. And I believe there is someone else. Who else do we have here? I know there was another fine and kind soul. In any event, I forget who it was. In any event, sorry for that. I've got limited point. Anyway, thank you. I appreciate this. Make sure you are subscribed to Lionel Legal. This is going to be our legal kind of a channel. And we're going to look at things specifically as to the rule of law, the Constitution, and I don't care about anything about who it is, race, astrolube, any of that stuff. I don't care about that. And thank you, who is this? Thank you for a very nice one right now. Thank you very much. I just saw somebody here. Let me see, I just saw another one. Your super chats are extreme. Oh, thank you, Julia. Julia, thank you. Come over right now, and when you go, call up. It's 800-888. No, 800-848-9222. 800-848-9222. Make sure you tell the screener, riffraff, that you are from Lionel Legal. All right, my friends, I love yous. Have a great day. Thank you so much for your courtesy, your beauteousness, your perspicacity, and your focus. This is great stuff. We'll talk to you later. Make sure you stay tuned. We'll be doing more of this later. Until then, my friends, as I always say, monkey's dead, show's over, sue ya, ta-ta.